lots of thoughts trying to come out at the same time. But
legal side, you've said you'd shut migrant hotels, you detain and deport immediately. The Tories tried this; they could not do it. They are constrained by the ECHR, they're constrained by the Refugee Convention, they're constrained by international law, be that maritime law, all the things that you say you want to do. All of those things have been tried and have been proved to be impossible. We couldn't even set up an offshoring processing in Rwanda without it being dragged into the courts. How will reform do it where everyone else has failed?
Well, that's where we have to, as I said to you earlier, listen carefully.
I listened very carefully.
What we have to do is to have a plan to repeal. The Great Repeal Act has to happen very quickly, and we have to repeal a lot of the malign legislation.
All at the same time. Take the fight in one go.
In one go. And we have to sort out our own ability to manage our borders. And that means, obviously, acts like probably the Race Relations Act of 60.
Massively
probably
controversial.
The human right, it's a huge amount of work. Probably the Human Rights Act.
Can you imagine the Hows of the BBC, the Guardian, the Labour Party, the British establishment?
If the British people vote for it, that's what
a reform manifesto.
I don't care what the Guardian thinks. Do you? I really couldn't care less.
It's not my go-to.
What I care about, if you're elected by the public, you.
Rupert Lowe calls for the repeal of the 1965 Race Relations Act. Is it a dangerous move? Hey everyone, is Reform UK essentially the English counterpart of the DUP, a party that's all about saying no? No to human rights, no to immigrants, and no to building homes, no to the NHS, and no to helping the poor. One of their MPs, Rupert Lowe, recently appeared on the Reform UK friendly podcast, Never Mind the Ballots. Obviously a spin on the word Never Mind the Buzzcocks, with Harry Cole to discuss immigration. But what Lowe wants isn't just about the abandonment of conventions like the European Convention on Human Rights. He wants to take us back to a time when black people were refused service in restaurants and denied housing. His response was, we need to repeal all of that legislation and take the fight in one go. He even suggests getting rid of the Race Relations Act of 1965. That's right, the Race Relations Act, which was introduced to protect black people from discrimination in places like restaurants and housing. This was never about immigration, it was about fighting racism. So why does Reform UK or Rupert Lowe support repealing this law? It seems that they want a society where businesses can deny services based on someone's race. They're against any regulations or legislation that protects people. In their ideal world, businesses should be able to take as much profit as possible, consequences be damned. Lowe seems to want a society where landlords can choose not to rent or sell to black people whatsoever. This is the kind of society they want to create, and it's not just about the Race Relations Act. Reform UK also voted against measures to improve workers' rights, such as banning practices like fire and rehire. They're clearly not interested in protecting the public, but clearly they're more concerned about a small, privileged section of society, the richest business owners. And then there is the Human Rights Act. There is the Human Rights Act, a cornerstone of the Good Friday Agreement. Yet no one in the media seems to ask Reform UK about this. If they plan to leave the European Convention on Human Rights and tear up the Human Rights Act altogether, what will happen to Northern Ireland? What about the Good Friday Agreement? Why isn't everybody asking that same question? The truth is, Reform UK doesn't give a shit about Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or even devolution. They only care about England. They are an English nationalist party, plain and simple. They want businesses to have the freedom to discriminate based on race and to tear down protections of British people. They claim it's all about controlling immigration, but that's just a tool to win votes. They're not about improving borders. They just want to strip away protections that keep society fair. Lowe even said that if the public votes for Reform UK, then the consequences are on them. This is a very disturbing view. A civilised society protects everyone, not just those who voted for the ruling party. Reform UK is essentially copying the rhetoric and policies we've seen from Donald Trump and his party. They're pushing the same anti-woke nonsense, wanting to cut government spending that supports the poor and instead direct money into the private sector to help those who are wealthy. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, feel free to buy me a beer, metaphorically speaking, and support the channel, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.